Apple's APIs do not allow third-party browsers, even though they're using Apple's WebKit browsing engine, to access the content blocking APIs. But Apple has a history of allowing access to things like content blocking first to Safari and then to other browsers. So the theory is that sometime this year Apple will allow Firefox and Dolphin and Opera and Chrome to access the content blocking APIs. So I think this whole content blocking is may pose some challenges to us from users, because savvy users want to block content because they're tired of the slow internet. Non-savvy users won't understand when the content blocker breaks things, right? And it's hard. So we will have to be patient with people if and when this becomes popular. The confidential number of installs that I have heard
and that we are recording,
that we are not going to disclose, is
I can edit it out. I can just
no, it's fine. I didn't talk about it.
I didn't know.
It is I will talk to you in lunchtime, is pretty low, but we've only introduced it since Tuesday. So are there any questions about Focus? So I think we will continue with it, especially if it becomes available to Firefox for iOS. However, I'm not
anyway aware if the blocking is in action, if they have a website and something.
No. Apple's, for performance reasons, this is what Apple says.
background.
For performance reasons, they do not display any indication that content's being blocked. However, Apple being secretive like the Kremlin in the USSR days, they may reverse that decision. They may decide that the 64-bit devices are fast enough to display some sort of visual. It would be nice to have an icon, a logo, what the UI, UX people call an affordance, some pixels that indicate content has been blocked. But no. Any questions on that? And we probably have no. Oh, the forum launched yesterday, and so there's probably no questions on it.
So just to go back on my earlier question, so at the moment, we give them a Firefox iOS user. Can they install it, or if they do install it, will it?
They can install it, but it will only work with Safari.
Right. Fine.
Yeah.
So it.
Because that's the thing, it's market, but the Mozilla fans would have recently installed Firefox iOS and have seen this new app, and they might be thinking,
yeah,
yes, I want to use this alongside my existing
it's
Mozilla project
confusing.
and expect it.
It's confusing to normal users.
So the focus affects only the Safari, not the core, not WebKit.
No. I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works as a developer.
Yeah.
And other apps, didn't they say on stage that it kind of affects the traffic, the in-app traffic from other third parties?
Oh, you mean like web views from Gmail? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Safari web views from Gmail might be block content too. I'm not sure. For example.
Do you know, will it be localized or?
It will be localized. The question is, I think, when, not if. Right? Because we coded it in a weekend, basically, and then we had to go through all this politics about the name. We had a lot of politics around the name. We changed the name, and then we had politics about partners. Similar to, not similar, but content blocking partners. That's why the delay. And then Apple took a long time to review it. Again, probably because of American Thanksgiving. As Canadian, I always say American Thanksgiving. When I say that, everyone's like, what are you talking about? It's just Thanksgiving. But yeah. Firefox for iOS will have, in the new year, we will have a 2.0 release. And I believe we will at some point have a public roadmap. I don't think we have one now. Sometime in the new year, sometime in Q1, we'll have a 2.0 release, and it will have full sync. So syncing, we will add the ability to synchronize from your iPad or iPhone or iPod Touch 5th or 6th generation back to your Windows, Mac, Linux, or Android running Firefox. We will also add the ability to request desktop sites. I think, at least that's on the current 2.0 roadmap. And find in page. So big user complaint is find in page. At least on input is. It's a big user complaint. So find in page, synchronization, and what did I say? Request desktop site are the whole three big features we really want to have in 2.0.
In the long term, Because on the forum we see questions about add-ons. Is this even possible in this Apple environment?
It is possible using Apple's proprietary extension architecture. It is possible. So I know that the iOS team is working with the Android team, which is working with the desktop team to have sort of compatible story around add-ons. So we definitely want to have add-ons.
And how is it possible to make compatible add-ons for Android, iOS, desktop?
It is possible.
Especially iOS, I mean.
It is not possible from a user interface point of view, but it's possible from the lower level APIs. If we implement the same lower level, what does Google Chrome call them? Web extension APIs.
Like
So yes,
some wrapper over iOS API to do web extension.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, but hey, I'm not in add-on support, but it's really interesting, and hopefully we will actually do these things that we say we are. So that, yeah, Firefox for iOS. The things that we're also thinking about but are not committed to are you know how on Android we have a tablet user interface?
Yep.
I'm thinking of having an iPad user interface. So on Android, the tabs are different. The tab counters are in different location. There's more information displayed in the landscape. We're going to have a similar thing on iPad. And we're considering also having something for iPad Pro. But we'll see, because what if only 10 people buy iPad Pro? And we would love your ideas on... I know you folks here at the table are probably not heavy Apple users, but if you have any ideas on how to... features that we're not doing, 3D Touch or Force Touches is something we'll add support for. But if there's Apple features or working with Firefox for iOS, opportunities or features that we're missing, please let me know. I can provide a link. I'll put it in the notes. I can provide a link to the AHA, submit an idea for iOS.
I think the
and
one
Android.
that we certainly see on the Android side a lot, and I know it's last I heard P2 in terms of priority order, is bookmark management.
Yes.
So that's something we definitely want to get as soon as possible into Android. But
Yeah.
chances are, if it's not on the Apple products,
then-
they're going to want to expect that sort of same experience.
Can you put in the minutes and give me an Asana something task?
Reminder for Roland about.
Find the bookmarks documents.
We should find out where it is on the roadmap, because Android is currently
Yeah,
P2.
but there's PDFs that you can read for their ideas.
Does Safari have depth browsing in tablet mode?
Has what?
Depth? Browser depth?
Browser what?
Depth tabs?
Yes,
like
they
a
have
depth
tabs.
interface.
They have a tabbed interface.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. I'm losing my mind. I stayed up to 2 a.m. with the crazy young people, like you folks. You know, when I was 30. No, just kidding.
Yesterday. Okay.
And we may do experiments with the Apple Watch, Apple TV. But what we're really interested in is something that would differentiate us, that would provide value to our users, and even better, to make it like all singing, all dancing, super perfect, if it was something that would tie with Firefox for desktop or Firefox for Android. This whole what do we call this? The Firefox ecosystem, so-called. So bookmarks, we're trying to on all the like add-ons. We're trying to have a similar approach across all mobile and desktop. The problem is, as I know you know, and as I know you know, and for anybody who uses the Android forums, the problem is that people use bookmarks on iOS and Android on mobile. People who come from desktop expect it to work like desktop. And people who don't come from desktop have no expectations. The reality is your 20,000 bookmarks doesn't really, from desktop in 20,000 folders, doesn't really work on any mobile device, on any browser.
No, people, I think, just on the Android platform.
You're not even going to be able to
Bookmark
find it.
Put it on the folder.
So I think there's a creative solution here that the UX team is looking for.
Yeah.
It sucks, the current situation where we don't have a solution that works on mobile for folders from desktop. So we are working on it. But that is, if anyone has a UI, UX thoughts,
For bookmarks, in fact, I use Firefox for Android, and I never saved bookmark on it. I just use I use Sync, so I have access to bookmarks from my desktop, but never saved any on a mobile phone. And when I read some site on my mobile and want to get it to my desktop Firefox, I just let it open and let Sync as an open tab.
Yep. Yeah.
Instead of saving bookmarks.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I always tell everybody this is how I use Android and iOS. I just use Twitter and Facebook, and then they have links, and that's how I browse. I don't watch. Apparently, our boss David Tenzer watches videos on Swedish newspaper sites. Like, I don't do that. I'm just that. And apparently, lots of people use CNN videos. Like, that's one of the many complaints we get about Android video. CNN video doesn't work for a crazy device from Rockchip. Yeah, so Apple Watch, Apple TV, other experiments like Focus, we may or may not do them. But I would say, hopefully, it won't be as secretive, and we will have another experimental product. That would be my guess. In 2016, we'll have another experimental product like Focus, perhaps on Android, or perhaps again on iOS. That's what I think, because I think the opera management is more receptive to that. Okay, and Android, well, I don't know what to say about Android. We're trying to fix bookmarks.
And homepages.
Yeah, we have set homepage in Firefox 44, so you can set your homepage. But again, that's for people who are raised on desktop and who are old. Like,
Well, it's
in the
also
90s, you had a homepage.
Yeah, it's not the phone experience. I think some of this comes from the tablet experience, whereby people haven't got a laptop.
Yeah.
They've got a tablet.
Yeah.
They want to be able to save a bookmark, for example, and then, as they've saved bookmarks, be able to put them into folders.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the driver for that.
Right.
And the homepage bit, I think, is probably where people are a little bit confused by the Android homepage
Right.
system.
But if you
whereby it
just,
isn't a page, it's a series of different screens.
yeah, but if you come from a mobile background and you never use a desktop, you would never even think of folders for your bookmarks. You might think of tags, you might think of some other way of organizing it. But it's our desktop legacy thinking, which we have to accommodate in some way, because a lot of the people who use Android and complain about it are very loyal Firefox users. So yeah, for Firefox for Android, we're going to have maybe Firefox OS TV integration, like Google Chrome handles Chromecast, and we are hopefully going to have a homepage feature that satisfies these sort of old school people, and we're going to have I don't know what's on the horizon, but maybe we'll eventually Roku and Chromecast, and maybe we will work better with them in the new year. I don't think so, because the other thing about Firefox, because Roku and Chromecast have no interest in making Firefox work better with Firefox for Android. The other thing we might add is I cannot remember what it was. Bookmarks. The other thing we were considering was some form of support inside Firefox for Android, but we don't have any designs for that. Instead of having to go to SUMO in another tab, wouldn't it be great if you could somehow get your support from a support article inside of Firefox for Android without having to search an external website? That's how a lot of mobile apps work, right? They have integrated help or integrated support. Some of them even have integrated one-on-one chat support. Some of them even have integrated video support, which is kind of crazy.
It's like Buddy App, but on Android.
Yeah.
What is the challenge for this? I mean, if you know from any discussions for the integrated support to be in, is it
For Android, the problem is I believe that we have a lot of other priorities.
Okay, yeah, so it's somewhere on the
For
roadmap,
desktop, I think since we're so, and I can't speak for desktop, Mark can, since retention is a bigger issue on desktop, I think and we have a lot more issues that we can diagnose and repair, and we have pixels to display more easily display integrated support things. It makes more sense.
Can I ask you a background question? Is the Firefox for iOS and Firefox for Android, is it the same team which is developing
No,
it? Or
it's a different team. So they have shared the
did
same
the-
platform
did the-
team.
Did the introduction of Firefox for iOS take away development resources
No.
for Firefox for Android? Okay,
No.
so in addition.
No, they took people who had previously worked on iOS experiments. Remember the Pancake? And there was another one, Junior.
Yeah.
They took some of those people. And in the beginning, the team was very small, and then they hired more people. The Android team is growing and still hiring, if you know anybody. So Android isn't going away. There's lots of things we can potentially do. The other thing that we're always trying to do with Android is have a pre-install deal with the partners, a partner whose names I can't disclose. Anyways, it doesn't matter because half these deals never happen. Business development deals are really extremely difficult. Oh, yeah, extremely difficult to sign. The other thing that will happen this year, hopefully in 2016, is reading list. So remember we had this flirtation pre-Pocket on Android of having our own synchronized reading list across Android devices. Well, I believe that some form of reading list synchronization will happen on Android and iOS this year. I have no idea what it's going to look like. But really it's more they're trying to think about out of the box. So in the same way they're trying to think of, well, let's not just do old school folders. Let's do tags or something that will simultaneously please old school folder users and work with mobile users. They want to do the same thing. We're not going to use Pocket, apparently, although they may change their mind. But we're going to have some sort of connected reading list, persistent reading list support, hopefully, in the new year. Before the end of the new year. But I think it's really cool because if you're like me and you start reading on your tablet, your Android tablet at home, and then you go to work and you look at your Android phone, and then you switch to your iOS phone or you Mac or Windows box, you kind of want that, right? You want the ability to resume reading that ridiculously long web page article from Vice.com or Motherboard or whatever these people who have long articles. So yeah, that's it. So there's plenty of work. There's plenty of little features that are scheduled. So plenty of SUMO work. That's it.
Any questions? More questions? I feel like in the community meeting right now. Any questions? Let's move on.
Oh, the other thing I'd like to do is the idea that I was thinking about yesterday was that we could potentially start the Android thread. What's new in Firefox 44 when 44 beta comes out? Doing it a couple of days before the release doesn't really help anybody. And Joni and I have those thoughts anyways in that crazy spreadsheet that you can all read. But I would put a readable version of that crazy spreadsheet into the thread in beta 1. I'll try that.
That would be great.
All right, next.
Okay.
Thank you, Roland.
Mark, do you want to go on because it's